Hi everyone, this is Deborah. I wanted to introduce my little sister to you all. I've talked about her a lot. When I got married, she was 2 years old. And so she is a survivor of domestic abuse. And I'm going to ask her some questions about things that she probably hasn't told too many people, but she has been asked to be a public speaker on this subject matter for various places. And if you see a little girl in the camera, she's been told to be quiet and to not show her face, but we'll see if she's going to pay attention or pay, what's it called? Pay her mind to me. Is that how you would say it? Yeah? Okay. So, Melanie, first question is,
Yes.
when was the first time, the first red flag arised when you wasn't sure what was happening, but you now know in retrospect that it was a red flag about your marriage?
When we were dating,
What did he do specifically?
threw a beer can, a full beer can at my face.
It was full beer can?
Yes.
That's bad. Okay. All right. So how did you deal with that, or you just overlooked it?
I overlooked it because I thought it was something I had said inappropriately and I shouldn't have said it, and I thought it was my fault.
Okay. Then, just for my subscribers' knowledge, she married a black guy, which my parents were very much against. So she kind of like had to keep this quiet for a while.
We lived in a very small town, so it was very new to not only to my parents, but also against the small town that we grew up
In the Northern Neck. That's all we'll have to say. We don't have to say the town in the Northern Neck. But this was a town that they still, in the late 80s, segregated the blacks and whites on the school bus and the boys and the girls. So they disregarded Brown versus the Board of Education. Am I not right, Mel?
Yeah.
Now, Melanie's had a very, very nice job. I won't say what she used to do for privacy's sake, but she's helped many, many people in the education field. And how many years were you married?
I was married for, well, we were separated longer than we were together because of it was very hard to get a divorce because he didn't want to get a divorce. So it was
All right.
we were together and as couple for 22 years, and we were married for almost 30.
Oh, I didn't know it was that long. Now, you had 4 children by this gentleman, I'm assuming. Am I not right? All right.
5 children were born. 1 was lost due to a domestic violence incident, is what I'd say.
Now,
Miscarried.
does he know about you miscarrying?
Yeah.
So he is the cause of you losing 1 child.
Yeah.
You never told me
I
that.
believe that. Yeah.
Was it from the stress of it, or was he actually physically
Abusive that night.
Oh my God, Mel, I did not know. Oh man, that's bad. So I don't know if you know this. I think I'm telling it to you for the very first time. But when we realized that you needed to leave this man, we could not get you to understand that you needed to do something. And so we all kind of like stayed away from you until you were able to figure all this out in your head. So we all kind of like stayed away and wouldn't listen to you on the phone. And we wanted you just to solve this yourself. So I think I know the story is that your oldest daughter wrote you a letter or something, and it made you open your eyes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
All right, so tell us about that letter.
Forever I tried to stay because I didn't want to be the stereotypical broken family. I wanted to be the one family that worked out. And then when my daughter wrote me a letter, she's like, Mom, we know, and we want you to leave.
Leave him.
Yes.
Now, did that mean you had to uproot your whole household and move somewhere else, or
Yes, we left. He left on a Friday night.
did you make him leave, or he just left on his own, or what?
It ended up coming down to a little bit of both. The police were involved. He shoved me out of a moving car on a major interstate. And
Oh my God. Was the children in the car when this happened?
no, thank God.
Oh,
I was able to shove the car into park and jump out of the car once it slowed down enough.
were you a passenger?
No, I was the driver.
It's kind of hard to throw a driver out. I mean,
And it was, but that's what he was trying to do.
but how could he get to the door on your side? I don't understand.
He was doing everything he could to get me out of that car.
Oh my God.
And it just so happened that one of our neighbors who was in the military at the time knew our vehicle, could tell something was off by what was the way the car was erratically driving, and he knew something was amiss, and he knew we had trouble in our family. So he actually tried to stop and see what was going on, and that delayed it and made it worse, because then they physically started fist fighting right in the middle of the highway.
So how did this person stop your car? Did he stand in front of it, or is he waving you
He
down?
didn't. I stopped the car when I
Oh,
pushed it on the
Sigh.
pushed it into.
Okay. All right. So all the times that he hit you in places where the cops or the police would not see the bruises. And where was that at?
He was what's called a calculated hitter in the medical field, and he would hit me in the back of my head, at the top of my head. I never had the usual telltale signs of black eyes or things like that. I had bruises, but they would be few and far between.
We noticed a little bruise one time on your face. And another reason why, because you never told us about any of this abuse.
Right.
And, but we noticed that your personality had totally done a 180. You were not the same person at all. Now, did you medicate yourself during any of this, those years where you didn't know what to do?
I saw therapy, and I saw, because of course he was telling me constantly there was something wrong with me. So I of course sought out to try to find out what that was. So I was seeing therapists, and I was on an antidepressant, but that was the only medicine that I was taking. I wasn't using any drugs. I wasn't on any drugs.
Now he was a substance.
He was a user.
Now, I know he abused alcohol. Did he abuse any other drugs?
Yes, he abused marijuana, and I am not sure of any other drug he was on, but apparently he was on multiple drugs that I was unaware of until it was too late.
Yeah. So Melanie, I medicated myself with Valium and Xanax for years. It's the only way I could live with the issue because I was in denial. Now, tell my subscribers how being in denial might cost you your life. Explain that to my subscribers. How that is dangerous to be in denial.
Well, I tried to just make things work and tried to keep things at a certain level. Even people in the medical field, when you mention what happened to you, they didn't really believe you or know how to handle you. You know, you could tell somebody in the medical field you were in a domestic violence situation, but because you told them you were married, they didn't want to give you birth control. So, I mean, it was always a catch-22.
But Melanie, I could have been on birth control. I don't know why they would deny you birth control.
It just things that, just the way things happen.
Was it because we were living in a backward community, 20 years behind time?
You know, they were just like, oh, you're married, you don't need birth control.
All right, I must say now, if you all haven't guessed, that my sister is severely disabled, and you want to tell them briefly all of your diagnosis.
Oh, I don't think I could this late at night. I don't have good memory, so I don't remember all my diagnoses all at once, but I have my worst diagnoses are fibromyalgia, Rocky Mount spotted fever. I have degenerative disc disease, and
You had Meniere's.
I have Meniere's disease.
Did you ever have lupus?
No, I don't have lupus.
Well, I think that's enough.
But I have various others. I have neuropathy. I have Raynaud's disease for my fingers.
Now you got your disability.
Yes, I have my disability.
And it took you many years because, tell my audience why it took you longer when it took me and your other sister only a matter of months. What caused your delay?
My age.
Your age, because you were young, and also you did a name change after your divorce, which messed up all your medical records. Okay.
My age and my name change.
So when you got this letter from your oldest, you had a Satori experience, an enlightenment, an aha moment, and that's when everything changed, right?
Yes.
Okay, I must say that her oldest daughter is now also in the education field, and she went to college on a full scholarship, and Melanie's children are very beautiful. In fact, I will do a shot up above her head. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. But that's her oldest. That's her son, who was quarterback at Shenandoah. I don't know if you can see him. And that is her youngest. And then that is her other daughter. And they are gorgeous. But let me shoot over here because you can't see her son very well. Let's see. Yeah, that's her son. And this is Miranda when she was younger. That's Mel and Jessica and Carrie, and that's our mother. Okay, so now that they've met your children, okay. Now, Carrie got in a scuffle with the police because she was trying to help you. I remember she told me the story, and the fact that it's her dad, it's very hard for children to get in the middle of this, but they defended you 100%, didn't they? Now, my situation was the opposite. Nobody believed me, not even my children. But my children were already grown adults living out of the house, but your children were still with you. So they saw it firsthand, right? Okay, so back to the denial. What I think it's you stayed in the marriage longer for the same reasons I did, because you didn't want that stigma of being a divorced wife, and you didn't want to deal with that because of the way we were brought up. And am I not right?
Right.
And that's why I stayed in a marriage for 40 years, because I didn't want that stigma of being a divorcee. And I knew it was against my religion, because our pastors, Mel, never talked about divorce. Did any of the churches you went to, did they ever talk about divorce? But it is in the Bible. I found out that sometimes you don't get a choice. So now here's another issue. Do you love your ex as the father of your children, or there's just no love at all, or what?
There's no love left.
Now, Melanie did something extraordinary that I wish I had done. I wish I had left when my kids were in diapers. But Melanie supported all 4 of her children herself, which I believe is why she's so disabled now, because she let her own health go. She recently broke her ankle, which is another whole story in itself. Now, let's talk about the aftermath of being in a domestic issue. You have bad dreams.
I have PTSD.
All right. Now, does anybody in your family not get the PTSD? Because I told our brother that I had it, and it kind of like went over his head, because people don't understand that if you're in an abusive relationship, you can have the same PTSD as somebody in the military. Am I not right? Yes.
All of my children have PTSD.
From it also.
From one reason or another. From our family life.
Now, do you still get triggered? Because I do.
Oh, I get multiple triggers. Sounds, sirens, car sirens, fire trucks.
How many times was the cops called in your relationship? How many times did you call?
I couldn't tell you.
At least 10, 20?
More than that.
More than that. I called the police 10 times, and the cops did not know how to deal with it. They didn't understand any of it.
But he never himself owned any guns or weapons. He just would tell me to scare me.
Yeah. Yeah.
His friends had plenty of weapons.
Yeah. Okay. So you and I both have bad dreams, and we both get triggered. And if you had to do all over again, what would you have done different?
I would have left at the very first beer can thrown and not look back.
So our mother told us, my mother told me, my mother's very against my boyfriend at the time, and I'm sure she was against yours. If we had listened to our mother, our lives would have had been totally different, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think this is, the police still are not versed in how to deal with a domestic violence situation. I think it should be automatic. One of them should be separated from the house. Don't you agree, Mel? One should be taken away for the night at least, don't you think?
Yes.
And because it makes it so much more horrible when they leave and left you with the monster. Right. Now,
well, they're still trying to they're still trying to train the medical field and the police departments on domestic violence and how to handle the situations. The police department have come up a little bit, but the medical field and new nurses and doctors, they don't know how to handle the different situations. So that's why they're doing a lot of dissertations and things are going on about domestic violence right now.
Now, Melanie, you know why I left my ex, because I knew if I had stayed that I would be dead.
Yeah.
And to this day, our relatives still don't believe me. And I don't think you've been as open with our relatives. Because we had a mother.
Anybody who asked, I told it.
Yeah, but do you remember that girl and boy that went camping and he ended up killing her, and they had a scuffle and the cops stopped them, and the parents of the girl that has been murdered said that those police officers should have separated them because the girl's sitting there in the vehicle shaking and shivering, and the cops made a very major mistake because she'd still be alive.
The couple from Florida.
Yeah. Now, Melanie, is any man worth you losing your life over?
No.
No. And I still believe that you can love somebody from a distance, but you don't have to tolerate the abuse. And like you said, the first time he hit you is when you should have walked out. But I also believe, Melanie, you're very much like me, that we didn't think we were pretty enough. We didn't think anybody would ever love us. That's another reason why you think you stayed, because it was for me. Did you never think you was going to get a boyfriend again?
I mean, I had been told all that stuff, so, I mean, it was put into my head. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but at that time I was I was just doing what I could to survive with the kids, so I really didn't care. I wasn't worrying about who I could get afterward. I was just trying to survive.
Just to live. Yeah. Now, don't you think it's harder for women who've been abused to have another relationship again? It's almost impossible, don't you think?
I don't think so.
You think?
I know a lot of people who have gone on and had
And still,
better relationship.
did he ever pay at all, or he still owes some, or what?
His child support is in arrearage, and his youngest is 24.
So it's like 80,000, or is it 100,000? How much does he owe?
It's about 85 last time I checked. And,
Oh my God. If you had a girl that came to you and started talking about some red flags, what would you say to these young ladies who are not even aware that they're being abused, that they don't even know they're being abused? What would you tell them? What is the key things that you would tell them whether or not they should stay or leave?
I'd give them some good resources and tell them they need to definitely think twice about what they're doing and what they're getting involved in.
Now, see, I would tell, our daddy told me to divorce my husband once, and I said, I can't, Dad, I love him. Well, I had love, somebody who loves you would not abuse you. Am I right, Mel?
You would think so.
Yeah, so is that love? Is somebody is making you fall down or tripping you or calling you fat or ugly or nobody likes you? I mean, I've heard all that. If nobody who loves you should be calling you names, right?
Right. No.
Should somebody who loves you change the tone of voice to where they sound like a monster? Where you are scared to death of just the tone of their voice?
Well, no, actions. They don't even have to do it with their voice. They can do it with their hand movement.
Oh, yeah.
Gestures, anything like that.
Did you ever get closure? I never got closure. They say that your closure is when you finally get it and you realize you don't have to live that way anymore. And that is our closure, don't you think?
The only closure I wanted was my divorce paperwork signed.
And who was with you on the day you were in Manassas?
You were, and my daughter Carrie got my divorce paperwork signed on my birthday.
And did you do your own divorce work?
Yes.
And I did not understand that you can do your own divorce work as long as you do the margins and the spacings the way they want it, right? And so how did you go on the site to figure out how it should be set up on the typewriter?
Just went on the site and looked it up and then copied it and redid my own divorce paperwork.
Because you can get a divorce even if you can never find your husband.
Put it in the newspaper, but we had put it in the newspaper and he still didn't get. But because the newspapers were up here and not in the country,
Right.
The judge didn't want it like that.
And that cost a lot of money to even put it in the paper.
So the judge wanted it again down there.
So you did your own paperwork, and did you have to have a lawyer submit it to the judge, or you just sat in the courtroom and gave it to the judge?
I gave it all to the judge.
So how long did that take? Like 10 minutes? Like what?
It was about 20, 30 minutes.
So, yeah. So, Melanie, I think you are gifted in that way, that you were able to do this without... I handed a lawyer $9,000 and they ate it up in 3 months and didn't do anything to show for it. And you were able to save yourself because you didn't even have that. Why didn't, what's it called when you have to use the legal aid? Did any legal aid ever help you?
No.
Because they never helped me. I could never get him on the phone. Or when I did get him on the phone, they say, well, we've already exhausted our funds. So Melanie, how many jobs did you have to have in order to feed your children?
At the most I had was 5. Most of the time I carried 4.
4 at one time.
Yes.
Now, people are not going to believe what you're saying. But I know. But I know.
2 full-time and 2 part-time jobs.
Are you angry? Or how are you dealing with the fact that you're disabled now and your life will probably be cut short because of all this? I mean, how do you deal with that?
I just take every day one day at a time.
That's what you have to do. Yeah. All right, Mel, I know you're getting tired. I can tell. So I'll let you all go. I hope whoever's watching this has got something from this. And bless you, Mel. You are blessed to have such beautiful children. Can you say goodbye to the camera and smile?